A big old Benz truck. I ain't gon' stop, I pop my roof, I ain't giving my mans up. And I ain't getting shot by cops that shoot no little handguns. Big old Benz, big old Benz truck. Big old Benz, a big old Benz truck. I ain't gon' stop, I pop my roof, I ain't giving my mans up. And I ain't getting shot by cops that shoot no little.
As some of you may or may not know from watching previous episodes, the free Ballin segment is intended for me to give a full, thought-out opinion on, good or bad. I try to be positive, and I'm going to have more positive sections, I assure you. But in today's free Ballin segments, I've got two topics that I feel like I need to address because a 60-second TikTok or a couple tweets is just not going to do it. So I'm going to dive in I'm going to take a deep dive into all the dirty details, all the quotes, all the sources, and I'm going to fill you in on my full take and my full stance on two people. One, number one NFL prospect, Caleb Williams. And two, once again, we're back at Calipari. And who isn't? But those are the two topics on today's free Ballin segments. We got to talk about Coach Cal. Have to. And yes, I'm a Kentucky fan. And I hate to keep going back to this. But the last time that I mentioned it, it was very quick. It really wasn't very thought out. And I'm actually not going to go into a full history of Coach Cal. I'm actually going to deep dive into one 10-minute interview that he did post-game after the most recent win against Arkansas at home. Okay? This is a game in which Kentucky would win 111. It's impressive. To 102 in regulation. This should be like a triple overtime score. We just talked about the NBA. The highest NBA, and by the way, there's 8 more minutes in an NBA game and a hell of a lot less defense. This is an NBA score. 111 to 102 against a mid-ass Arkansas, and you allow 102 points in regulation? Then, Coach Cal, in true Coach Cal form, goes in front of the press immediately following the game, and man, he gave me some gold. Okay? So let's dive into it here. First of all, he mocked the zone to the critics, okay? He said early in the first half, and he was speaking through the media, but he was talking about fans and local media and people like me who just have come out of the woodwork in masses, just picking this team apart and calling for Calipari to lose his job and this and that. He's talking to me and thousands and thousands of people within the Big Blue Nation just like me. This is who he's talking to through the media. But he says he switched to the zone in the first half because, quote unquote, Arkansas was running right through us, so I decided to go to a zone to slow them down a little bit. And he said it sarcastically. How dumb could you be? You literally just admitted that they were running right through you. A mid-ass Arkansas team was running right through your man-to-man that you love so much. So you switched to a zone. Tells me everything right there. People are literally running through your man-to-man zone, and you're married to it. You won't divorce it. Let her go, son. It's just not working out like you thought it would. Okay? But it gets worse. He then jokes immediately after that he switched back to his zone right before the first half ended and said, and Arkansas hit a 3. Huh. Yeah, you like that? Zone work there? People have been making threes against man-to-man against you all fucking year. By the way, Kentucky is 330th out of 351 Division I college basketball teams in scoring allowed. 330th out of 351. They're averaging giving up 79.1 points per game. This is 3 spots behind Louisville. 3 spots behind Louisville. That's unacceptable, man. But you say that the zone is responsible for giving up the 3? No, it's not the zone, okay? You've been scored on at a damn near record-breaking clip using your man-to-man. I am not going to say whether or not the zone is for sure the fix here. I'm not a college basketball coach. And I refer to Ken Palm statistics. I love Ken Palm. He's one of the most respected statistical producers that's out there. A lot of people use Ken Palm stats. And according to Ken Palm stats, if you look at points per game and assists allowed per game and winning percentage, the zone is actually worse than man-to-man defense in college basketball. The zone is worse, according to Ken Palm stats. And zone defense usage has been trending. Like 2014, it was like 22%. It's all the way down like 10% or less now. Possessions of college basketball teams using the zone. The zone defense is literally dying. Okay? But if your team uses a man-to-man all game, every game, and you are constantly giving up offensive scores equal to that worse than every other team in the country, because at 330 out of 351, not many people behind you there. Okay, so you are one of the worst teams at giving up buckets in the country. And you are literally an idiot to think that like man-to-man is the answer. There's not a whole hell of a lot to coaching man-to-man. It's a very lazy way out of defense. And it's what they do at the NBA, and that's all Coach Calipari cares about. That's what pisses me off most about him, is that he doesn't really have any respect for the school or for the fans, because to him it's all about getting these kids to the NBA. And I'm not hating on that, damn it. But you're not an NBA coach. These kids being successful in the NBA is not what Kentucky pays you for. It's not why the fans fill your stadium every fucking night, dude. That's just not your job. That's a bonus, dude. That's icing on the cake. It's not the trophy. The trophy is what you did in 2012 with Anthony Davis and the boys. That's the trophy, and those banners in the rafters that the all-time greatest teams in Kentucky have been responsible for hanging. Those are your trophies. You're going and flying out to the All-Star game and posing with Karl Anthony Towns and Tyrese Maxey and all these guys. And look at me. Look at what... You didn't do shit. Those guys were going to go pro whether they went to UK or if they went to fucking Wofford. Okay? It's not you, man. Those kids are physical freaks. They were going to be great regardless. It's not because they went to Kentucky and learned how to play man-to-man under Coach Calipari. Okay? Literally, the only thing that you got to coach at man-to-man is how to come off a pick and roll and how to switch. Outside of that, it's, hey, you got number 12, you got number 6, you got big body 32 out there, and it's going to be a tough one, but you got to stick with them. And then they just chase them around. Stay between them and the basket. And if a pick gets set, they got to know how to switch. What switching to running a zone does is it gives you another option to give the offense, who's clearly breaking your shit down, something different to look at, presenting them with a different challenge, and maybe, just maybe, throwing their rhythm off a little bit. I'm not saying stick with it the whole fucking game. Speaking of that, a reporter during the postgame also said to Cal, hey Cal, does this team remind you a little bit of the 2015 Duke squad where they had issues on defense and switched from man-to-man to a zone? And Calipari immediately cut in and was like, well, I've never watched their film, so and he got a big pop out of the people in the media. Now, watching this, I didn't really know. But if you go back and look at what Duke did in 2015, really, really makes this disgusted comment where he cut off the reporter and made a joke, like literally made a joke of him in that moment. That guy actually had something. And Calipari brushed it off. I would never watch that video. Well, why not? You know who was at Duke in 2015? That would be Coach Mike Krzyzewski. That'd be legendary Coach K. I would say that he's in the Mount Rushmore of all-time NCAA basketball coaches, men's or women's coaches. I would also say that Mike Krzyzewski might have a certain level of IQ that I don't know, maybe anybody could learn something from. And it just so happens in 2015, that Duke squad that Calipari wouldn't watch film of won the national championship against Wisconsin. Something a team Calipari couldn't beat. We lost to Wisconsin. By the way, that was the greatest team that he's ever assembled at UK. But he wants to completely brush off a knowledgeable reporter who clearly has done the research. I mean, if you do the research enough to know that in 2015, Coach K implemented a zone during the course of the season when clearly man-to-man just wasn't working with his personnel, and that just so happened to lead them to a national championship, and you are arrogant enough to brush that off, you make yourself look like a damn fool. He then, towards the close of the interview, would say, well, when we go to a zone, the benefit is well, we don't really know what we're doing, so how the hell could they know what we're doing? I don't have a watch on, but if I did, it would tell me that it's March. What's in March? I don't know. The biggest tournament in the basketball world, that, by the way, Kentucky is the biggest blue blood of, had the second most national championships. There's kind of a history here, dude, and an expectation. And it's March, and you're going to stand up there and mockingly, jokingly say, well, we don't know what we're doing. Why do you have a lifetime contract if we don't know what the fuck we're doing by March? Literally everything that you're saying and doing is making yourself look so much worse to people like me that pay attention. And again, I'm a nobody here in Bullitt County, Kentucky, sitting in a house by myself that's probably an eighth of the size of yours, maybe less. My opinion to you doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is valid. Okay? When you speak, it's like watching a politician. To the people that don't really dig in and don't really pay attention to all the little things, they might not pick up on your bullshit, but I've been smelling it since about 2014, 2015. Probably should have been watching Coach K that year instead. I'd be a hell of a lot happier and more informed. But he says that we don't know what we're doing, we're young. And then at the very end of the interview, he says, well, we're going to start working on a plan B just in case somebody gets it going, or, we need to change something. He says, in quote, the zone makes it hard to rebound. I like guys being responsible for covering other guys, is what I assume he was referring to. But he said that you're going to start working on a plan B just in case someone gets it going. Where was the plan B against Gonzaga? Where was the plan B against Tennessee? Where was the plan B when you lost in the beginning of the year to UNC Wilmington? They're like fifth in their little ass conference. And they're fifth in it. And you lost to them. And it's March. We should have a plan Z if need be. And it's not Big Z. And I love Big Z. But I'm just jokingly saying, you cannot go to the public in March talking about we are going to start working on a plan B. Why are we what are you doing in practice? I don't know the starting date for when the gym can open and these new kids can all get together for the first time and start having organized practices, but the season starts in November. I'm going to guess it's at least October, September, if not well the hell before that. I don't know how long their practices are. I don't know how many days a week they go. But I do know this. If it's March and you don't have a plan B for defense, what the fuck have you been doing this whole time? Because you can't spend 7 months coaching man-to-man. There's not that much to coach to it. It's not that deep of an idea to understand for these players. The zone, there's obviously a half a dozen common forms of the zone. 1-3-1, 2-3, 3-2, so on and so forth. Why haven't all of these different common types of zones been addressed over the course of the last 6 months? Also, why have you not worked on every single one of those zones with every single personnel grouping? Why have we not done these things? Excuse me. I'm just saying, what the fuck have we been doing, dude? You have a lifetime contract for a program that has probably at times very unrealistic and unfair expectations. I'll be the first to admit that. But when are you going to stop smacking us in the face? When are you going to stop assuming that we're all stupid? When are you going to stop sitting up there and mocking us and making jokes about all this shit when if you actually dig into what you're saying and how you're saying it, you sound like an idiot, dude. You sound so much worse every single time you get up there. And you can't continue to get up there and say it's because you're young. We're young because of you, dude. We don't have juniors and seniors because you. It's how you design your teams. It's not our fault or the kids' fault that they're young. It's your fault for not having veterans. When we win, it's because, oh, they're young, man. These kids are skilled and talented, and I can't, people understand. We just beat a veteran team, and I've got 6 freshmen. You don't get to do that and then turn around after a loss and go, oh, well, we're young. What do you expect? You can't have your cake and eat it too, okay? The shit doesn't go both ways. You're a hypocritical nightmare to listen to. And this is why I've been sick of it. So you can sit up there and cry and piss and moan, or for the example, when you went down to LSU, I believe it was, and got your ass kicked, you didn't even interview. You like to stand up on a high horse and have 10, 12, 15-minute press conferences and then go and brag on your radio show after those wins. But you couldn't answer 2 questions after a loss. You tuck-tailed and said, well, we got early game on Saturday, and I got to get the boys back home. You have a lifetime contract from the University of Kentucky to lead our program. You don't get to do that. This fan base deserves a hell of a lot better. Okay? Most of what you've done at Kentucky has brought me a lot of pride and joy. Most of what you've done. And I want to go back to being proud of who we have at the helm. But you sit up there and literally call yourself king. The other day you said, well, I'm the king. King gets to do whatever he wants. Yeah, you can. You absolutely can. But that's an awful smug thing to say, don't you think? Especially when you still don't start Rob and Reed, who, by the way, in the most recent NBA draft projections, are projected at number 3 and number 5. Rob Dillingham being 3, Reed Shepherd being 5. And by the way, the other 3 in the top 5, they're not even college basketball players in America. These kids are overseas. So the 2 best prospects in all of college basketball are at the University of Kentucky. The whole world knows it. And you still don't start them. I don't have anything else to say.
I've been down through the blood and the sweat. Guarantee you can know I'm a threat. I've been down